Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society. We are grateful to gather on this beautiful morning, both in person and online, for a time of inspiration, reflection, and connection. Whether you join us today with joy in your heart, weighted with burdens, or searching for meaningful connections, we are glad that you are here. I'm the Reverend Diana Smith, the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Society, and my pronouns are she and her. I'm a somewhat tall white woman in my mid-40s with short, curly, white and brown hair, purple glasses, a gray dress, and a green stole with leaves on it, standing in UUS's pulpit at the front of our sanctuary, which is gradually filling with people. Come on in, y'all. Come on in. Through the window walls of our sanctuary, we connect to the outdoors where we can see a beautiful, gray, crisp autumn day. As we gather, we give thanks for this land and all who have cared for it over the centuries, particularly the Kickapoo, the Iowa, the Sauk and Meskwaki, and the Oceti-Sakowin nations. As people of many ages, genders, races, sexual orientations, classes, abilities, and health statuses, we know how important it is to come together as a radically welcoming spiritual community. As Unitarian Universalists, our faith expresses our core value of love through how we agree to be together and to support each other. We're guided by the shared principles, sources, and values of our living religious tradition. And this morning, as we honor our ancestors and reflect on how we become better ancestors for future generations, we will be finishing our work with our October theme of generosity and beginning our work with our November theme of heritage. As we do so, we will celebrate and explore the ways that our seventh principle calls us to interdependence and our eighth principle to create beloved community. Today, we're having an all-ages worship service, and after the service, we'll be having a chili cook-off from 11-ish to 12:30-ish, and then a trunk or treat and haunted trails adventure from 1 to 3. I see many of you who are ready for those activities. If you're newer to our congregation, we invite you to learn more about us after the service. For those who are here in person, you can talk to a greeter in the atrium or anyone really during that chili cook-off time. And for those of you who are online, there's a link to the visitor forum in our YouTube show notes that will let us connect with you. If you've been here before, today you may have noticed that we did not have printed orders of service. As we lean into the work of being better ancestors, we are working to further reduce our environmental footprint by reducing the paper and energy that go into printing printed orders of service that are used for an hour and then recycled. We'll be continuing to email out the order of service electronically the day before service, and we'll be continuing to have slides to help us navigate through the service. And so, let's begin with words from Reverend Karen Johnston, who writes, "Ancestors who spoke with bravest fire, lend us your senses, that we may know another world is on her way, breathed into life with our participation in her creation. Forebearers who led the way where there was, at first, no way. Lend us your persistence, your temerity, your assurance that the moral arc of the universe does indeed bend towards justice. Ones who went before us, sacrificing for a future not your own, help us give of ourselves that the common stories in our hands today might be cathedrals of compassion tomorrow, halls of restorative justice tomorrow, sheltering walls of beloved community the day after. It is Sunday morning, the day we gather. Let us be thankful and full of praise to be in the company of those who came before, yet are ever in our midst. And so, let's join our voices in song. We'll be singing hymn number 1051 if you picked up a teal hymnal. We are. Okay, go ahead.
Please rise as you are able and join me in singing 1051. We are.
Good morning. I'm I'm Marcia Cheney. I'm a white woman with brown and purple hair, wearing a burgundy sweater dress today. As Unitarian Universalists, we light a flame within a chalice as a symbol of sanctuary and safety, to unite us in our worship, and to remind us of our ongoing search for the light of truth. Please join me in saying our chalice lighting words as Maria lights our chalice. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the wonder and mystery of this great gift. So let us now kindle the flame of our liberal religious heritage and renew our covenant of mutual love and care. Love is our doctrine, the quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, and to serve those in need. This we promise, this we covenant, with life and one another. Each week, we light a candle for justice and healing to acknowledge our interdependence with the natural world and with all members of the global community, especially the most vulnerable. We light this candle so that we may not be numb to injustice and trauma, but rather find strength, courage, and love as we work in solidarity with others for liberation, justice, and healing. Together, we create resilience and hope. Today, as we light this candle, we're particularly mindful of the residents of Lewiston, Maine, who lost friends and family members and neighbors and other community members in a mass shooting in their community on Wednesday. As I light this candle, let's hold a time of silence to listen to our hearts and bodies, or perhaps to lift up prayers.
At this time of the year, carrying on rituals bequeathed to us by many spiritual traditions, we remember our ancestors and those we love who have died. But still, why do we do this year after year? After all, it can hurt when we remember the people we love who have died. And we know, at least intellectually, that endings are necessary for beginnings. Death is part of life, is even necessary for life. We know that plants die or go dormant each year as they are now, and that makes space for new growth in the spring. When I taught environmental education, and now when I go for my own wanders in the woods or prairies, I love exploring the web of life. Noticing how things sprout or are born, are nourished by or eat other things, and how decomposers can break down wastes and plants or animals that have died so that new plants can grow and new animals can be born. The process of decomposition is amazing in how it recycles matter and energy so that all things may continue on in new ways. And I love noticing that on a much larger scale, stars die for new ones to be born. And not only new stars, but even we humans who are partially made of stardust. But while we know intellectually that there is a cycle of life, that there is only so much matter and energy in our beautiful web of life and everything is finite, it hurts when people and animals we love die. And that is as it should be, because that pain of loss is a reflection of love, of how someone has touched our lives, and that we will miss the opportunity to continue spending time with them, learning from them. And yet, when those we love are gone, they continue affecting our lives through how they influence us. They remain with us through the stories we tell and in the ways we notice how they changed us or enriched our lives. And so, at this time of year, we dedicate a time to remembering our ancestors and those we love who have died, both human and animal. We do this to honor them and remember the special place they have in our lives and the light they carried that is still with us. The ancestors we remember may be ancestors of blood, those to whom we are related, who pass their genes on to us. And they may be ancestors of spirit, those who have given us legacies through their words or deeds that continue to affect our lives. The beings who have touched our lives are far from perfect. There are people we remember who we loved and people who we have complicated feelings about. And still, we carry their memories, their lives with us as we grow and change and live and love today. And so, as we move deeper into this time of remembering, holding, and honoring our own and each other's losses, Marcia will lead us in a responsive reading.
On All Souls' Day, our day of remembrance, we remember all those we love who have died. We do this to honor them and remember the special place they have in our lives and in the light that they carry that's still with us. Please join me in reading some words from Reverend Lynn Gardner. Please read the text that will be appearing on the screen. Can you hear them? Can you hear the whispers of the ancestors? We remember their stories are in these walls, in our bones, in the air we breathe. Stories are in the touch of a calloused hand, in the melody of the songs that we hum while washing dishes, in remembered faces. We hear the whispers of the ancestors, how their stories touch our lives and call us into becoming.
Each year, we create a table of remembrance for our ancestors and beloveds, both human and animal who have departed this world. Honoring their lives is an important part of noticing how their stories continue to touch our lives, shape who we are, and call us into becoming. When you came in, you were invited to write the names of ancestors that you wish to remember today on a leaf. As Max plays, we now invite you to bring up mementos, photos, and leaves, with or without names written on them, and place them on the table in front of the tree. After the service, we'll take the leaves out to our memorial garden to decompose and become part of the earth. Please. we notice all these beings we love shared here, may the Spirit of life help us open our hearts that we may ever comfort each other in the face of loss. Help us honor grief and not ask it to flee too quickly. As we mourn that these lives have ended, help us weave these lives and stories into the continued weaving of our lives. May the Spirit of love help us know in our hearts that what is temporal is also eternal, that we go ever on. Grant us grace to let these beloved lives now ended find new life in the ways we treat one another and live our own lives. Grant us courage to mourn, to believe in the goodness and beauty of life, even in the midst of grief. May the Spirit of grace help us share our hearts with ourselves and one another, that we may find peace, comfort, and easing in silence and solitude, in the company of each other, in the beauty of the sky, the water, the earth, and in each other's faces. Blessed be. Amen. I invite you to a minute of shared silence. Amen.
To invoke love is to ask for a hug from a thunderstorm, spill tea in the lap of the infinite trickster, to make the biggest, most embarrassing mistake of your life in front of everyone who matters. To invoke love is to never know if it will come softly or with the nuzzle of a beloved dog, or pounce right into your chest with the strength of a lioness protecting her cub, her pride, her homeland. To invoke love is to take the risk of inviting chaos to visit the spaces you spent so much time making tidy, and watch as the breath of life scatters everything you have only just folded and put away. To invoke love is to allow for the possibility that your words and actions might become so empowered that you can no longer believe in apathy or the self-righteous idea that nothing can change. To invoke love is to give up self-deprecation, false humility, pride, to consider yourself worthy to be made whole, willing to encounter love that will never let us let each other go. To invoke love is to guard against assumptions, take care with our words, and practice forgiveness, not as an ethereal idea, but right here in the messy midst of our imperfect lives. To invoke love is to approach each day and every person with wonder, anticipating love's arrival. Is this the moment? Is this love's grand entrance? Is this person the embodiment of love? Am I the one? To invoke love is to play the fool, the one more concerned with loving than with appearance or reputation, the one ready and willing to be vulnerable, abandoning anything that gets in love's way. To invoke love is to be ready to become love, here, now, in everything we do. Are you ready?
Are we ready? Are we ready to invoke love, to allow in the lessons of our ancestors, to savor them, to digest them, to practice gratitude for the generosity of them, good and bad? Are we ready to let love coax and push us into taking in those lessons, using them and transforming our lives to become better ancestors for those who come after us? When you close your eyes, and don't try too hard, but you remember something about an ancestor or someone you love who has died, something that guides you, you know that those who have gone have never left us. They're still with us in some way, and their lessons still guide us. Sometimes, when we remember, when we honor the past and where it's pointing us, it hurts. And sometimes there's just love. And that glow of love, that's the light we carry with us from every person. That light is what connects us to our ancestors, our community, and the whole web of life. Even though people leave us, and even though our relationship has to change because of that, they're still with us every day. Sometimes they're with us in our memories, in our own or a loved one's nose or hair or eyes. Sometimes we find their memory in a ring or a tattoo that we wear. Sometimes we find them in a legacy of strength, resistance, love, pride, chaos, change, wonder, vulnerability, or ever-expanding, ever-hoping love. As Reverend Karen Johnston wrote in today's call to worship, ancestors who spoke with greatest fire, lend us your senses that we may know another world is on her way, breathed into life with our participation in her creation. Ones who went before us, sacrificing for a future not your own. Help us to give of ourselves, that the common stones of our hands, in our hands today, might be cathedrals of compassion today, halls of restorative justice tomorrow, sheltering walls of beloved community the day after. We honor them, we honor ourselves, and we honor the sacred web of life when we remember, when we invoke love, when we hold or feel the light of those who left us, and when we share that light by living the lessons and the good gifts that their lives showed us. Honoring those who have come before means choosing to be aware that they have influenced who we are now, and how we choose to live now will influence those who come after us. But how do we honor the ancestors we will become? How do we invoke love in our becoming? Timidly? Taking a risk? Playing the fool? With wonder? With vulnerability? By becoming love? How we choose to live will influence those who come after us, because we will be ancestors for those who come later. The ways we choose to live today will affect the types of ancestors we become. We will make wrong choices. Of course we will. We're only human, and we do not have crystal balls, but we can choose to take better care of Earth, as well as create places and systems that help others adapt and find sanctuary from climate chaos. We can choose to do the long, hard work of making peace. We can act to bend the arc of the universe towards justice. We can live love fully and fiercely into this world. We can live with loving kindness. And we can share our hearts and to tell stories that help us guide ourselves and each other. And so, when you came in, you may also have picked up a green leaf. This leaf is symbolic of the ancestor you are becoming. How do you want to be a better ancestor? During the remainder of today's worship service, we invite you to reflect on what you are doing, the choices you are making, and how they impact those who come after you. What is something that you want to commit yourself to today that will help the generations that come after you? We invite you to sit with these questions and notice what your leaf represents. You might write a word or a phrase to represent what you commit yourself to. And then, during the traveling music, we'll invite you to come up and put it on this tree, a leaf that has not yet fallen, because that is us. For we are given glimpses of life's deepest mysteries in the lives of those we love, in the communities that support us, and in how we choose to invoke love with our lives. So may it be. Blessed be. Amen. And now I will invite up Liz Swanson, who I've lost amongst the... Thank you, Liz.
Good morning. Liz Swanson. I'm in my 70s still. I'm wearing black, not because of the Sunday that we're celebrating, but because I wear black all the time. So to be good ancestors in our society, we need to continue our culture of stewardship. This culture defines that we use the resources appropriately, whether it's time, wisdom, finances, social networks, or education. Using these resources, we can create a society that embodies our UUS principles and contributes to the generations to come. We hope that during the listener visits, individuals reflected on who and what they cared about in our society. Several other experiences of the campaign focused on the impact of UUS as has had on congregants' lives. We heard a special story read by Nick Kaplan on stewardship. When we model and teach stewardship, we give our successors an appreciation of who we are as individuals and what we value. In addition, when stewardship is modeled, we are engaging future generations in the experience and demonstrating the impact it can have. To be sure, we are creating future stewards. We heard enlightening testimonies from Alan Atkinson, Peggy Bushka, and Mary Catherine Wallace on the impact of that the society has had and will continue to have in their lives. Hillary Higgins shared a personal story, and I am sure that several of us will never look at a quarter in the same way again. However, regardless of our circumstances, we each can pledge within our means or stretch. These actions, in turn, will positively influence the lives of others and the future. As you recall, the goal for the 2024 stewardship campaign is $400,000, and we have wonderful news to share. At this point in the campaign, the money pledged has been $302,495.90, and 120. From 128 pledges. And then also, you recall that we had members of the congregation that contributed $20,979 and some cents to consider for a match. The match, again, worked in two ways. If you choose to increase your match, your pledge from 2024, or from 2023 to 2024, there was a dollar for dollar match. And if you did not pledge in 2023, but pledged for 2024, it was a total match, dollar for dollar. We are grateful that these households who chose to contribute to the matching fund. To date, all of the pooled funds have been matched in one of those two identified ways. So the grand total for the campaign at this point, with the matched funds, is $322,474.90. So I want to acknowledge the Stewardship Committee, and please, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to stand because you need to take part in the celebration as well. Diana Miller, co-chair. Diana? Pete Brokaw, Barb Herring, Michael Schmidt, Reverend Diana. Please, and also, I want to acknowledge the listeners who also participated and need to be recognized as well. Sarah Ross, our trainer. Larry Ottelhelm, Beg Bushka, Jane DeWitt, Barb Herring, Carolyn Johnson, Jim Lofgren, Gary Lawrenson, Russ Lempf, Carol Lyons, Tim McMurray, Dave Martin, Jim Olson, Sue Otto, Paul Pomrun, Vicki Stiers. We all are very appreciative of all who have assisted at this point. Each of our lives was built on the gifts of those who came before us. Now it is our turn to lay the groundwork for those who come after us. Thank you.
How we give, what we do with our lives, our time, and our resources is a reflection of our values. In response to the abundance we are blessed with, every week this congregation donates generously to organizations in the community whose work aligns with our values and principles. The special Fifth Sunday Community Partner Agency for today is Iowa Leap. Julie Robinson, the Executive Director of Iowa Leap, is here to tell us about their program.
Good morning. My name's Julie Robinson. I'm 62 years old and very short and standing on a box to get to the microphone. It's good to see you. First, I'd like to say thank you very much for your generosity and for the invitation to come and speak with you this morning. It means a lot. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Iowa Leap is a nonprofit that I founded after about 40 years as a public educator in the Iowa City Schools as a teacher and principal. And we have three main goals. That's to increase the rate of graduation and the rate of access to college and success in college for students who will be the first in their families to attend college. Go ahead and go to the next slide. I'm going to go through these really quickly, but it's just to give you an idea so that you can see. On all of these slides, what you're going to see just real quickly is the top number is the total number of students in Iowa City School District who graduate. So that's a great number at 92%. But what you see is when you look at children who are living in poverty and are eligible for free and reduced lunch, and also our English language learners, many of them who are children of immigrants, that rate drops significantly. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So there are things we do to help increase graduation. Next slide. This just shows the same pattern that we see in students who take the ACT test, which is, kind of a qualifying test to get into college, although since COVID, that's a little shaky. But again, you see it goes down. Go ahead and go to the next slide. This is just a slide that shows you how complicated the college application and financial process is. And so I like to think of LEAP as a way to help navigate that. And I also often compare LEAP to Google Maps and the Siri Navigator. Mine is a nice Australian man, and I used to be very directionally challenged, but because I have this wonderful thing, I can be told, go past these stoplights, but at the next stoplight, turn left, merge into the right lane. And he takes me step by step so that I can get wherever I want to go. And he doesn't do it for me, but he guides me. And if I make a mistake, he doesn't freak out. He says, at the next available point, make a U-turn. And he reroutes. That's what I like to think of LEAP as doing for our students. Go ahead and go to the next slide. This is the number, or the percentage of students in each group who scored a 22 or higher on their ACT. And go to the next slide. And some of the things we do. So I'll go ahead and go to the next slide. There you go. And this one, you can go through the next two. Sorry, I made this before I knew what I was doing. So we're going to stop on this one, though, because this is important. So basically, what LEAP does is, I love this picture that says the importance of small steps. And as you can see that ladder going to where everybody could get there, but I think especially, someone of my stature kind of appreciates those smaller steps there. I was a first-generation college student, and I know that I had a lot of support to make that possible for me. And here just gives you an idea, sort of the things that LEAP does. We're a completely volunteer-run organization, so all the funds that we get are channeled directly back to students for things like Chromebooks. Iowa City provides Chromebooks for all students, but when they graduate at the end of 12th grade, they have to turn their Chromebook back before they can walk across the stage. And so you have students now who are trying to register for Kirkwood classes or write their college essays on their phones, which is doable, but not ideal. We provide tuition for students who, because of their immigration status, while they may have work visas, they don't have their permanent residency card, and so they're not eligible to even complete the financial aid assistance, the FAFSA form. So we've been able to provide scholarships for those students. Office has free internet and printing access for them, providing things you might not think of, like a graphing calculator for someone who's taking Algebra 2 and trying to do all the equations and graphs by hand while their classmates are doing it with their calculator. We have a fully stocked fridge and pantry so that when students come to us after school, we have snacks. We have a school supply closet where they can get anything they need, and then access to lots of books. There's two things on here that have exclamation points that don't really involve a lot of money. One is transportation. That's huge. Just things like, I want to apply for this job, but I don't have any way to get there to drop off my application. Or my books are ready to be picked up at the Kirkwood bookstore in Cedar Rapids, but they're only open from 8 till 5, and I work from 8 till 6. In North Liberty. How will I get those? And then the other thing that's really important is just always answering texts, to always be that person who encourages you. And that's maybe one of my favorite things, is when I get a text from somebody that says, I just passed Government 1. And we're like, yes. So the next slide just sort of gives you an idea of the people at LEAP and also just what our area looks like. We tried to make it very warm and very inviting, so we have lots of places with books and tables to gather. Down in the corner you can see we have, or up in the middle I guess, a kitchen area where with that kitchen island it reminds me of home because people gather there to tell their stories. We have adult mentorships. We arrange job shadows. And then you can go to the next slide. More of the same, what I was talking about. And then this is sort of our last slide that I really want to focus on. And this, we're only a year into existence. So we've worked with about 25 students ranging in age from 7th grade to students who are now sophomores at Kirkwood, in their second year at Kirkwood. And I'm so proud of the work that they've done. And even though this has LEAP, I put their pictures up above because it's really They're the ones doing it. So last year, kids who came to LEAP after school and worked with us increased their grade point average from 2.14 to 3.24. So that's a huge, I know, right? If you've ever tried to help anybody increase their grade point average, that's a big lift to do, and that means a lot when you're applying for colleges, the difference between those two scores. I'm so happy to say 100% of our students that were in ELL programs graduated from high school. 100% of our students who are eligible for free and reduced lunch graduated from high school. 100% of all our students who were high school graduates are now enrolled in either a 2- or 4-year college. And this is important, and it was one of the slides I skipped, but 100% of our LEAP college freshmen passed their math course. Yeah, and that's a huge, which I had more time, I would tell you all about math courses and what that means. So final slide. We just like to think of ourselves and our students as breaking down barriers, pushing boundaries, and redefining what is possible. So again, thank you so much for the invitation to talk to you this morning. If you want to find out more information, we have a website, we're on Facebook, it's just Iowa LEAP. And thank you again for your generosity. Have a great morning, a great chilly lunch, and enjoy trunk or treating. Thank you.
In the sanctuary, the ushers will collect the offering, or you can follow the instructions on the screen for how to give online. All cash contributions go directly to our community partner agency. You may also contribute by check using the memo line to designate the purpose. In addition to assisting our community partner, you may contribute towards your pledge to our society or contribute to the congregation to provide additional support for our operating expenses. The offering is a sign of commitment to this free congregation, which is almost completely supported by the generosity of all who join us. As we give and receive the offering, may we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts.
You're all here on a very important Sunday.
You're all here.
This is the very first performance of the UUS Children's Choir ever.
Who stole the pumpkin from the pumpkin patch? Emily stole the pumpkin from the pumpkin patch. Yes, you! Then who? Who stole the pumpkin from the pumpkin patch? Joe stole the pumpkin from the pumpkin patch. Yes, you! Then who? Who stole the pumpkin from the pumpkin patch? Brandon stole the pumpkin from the pumpkin patch.
Who, me?
Yes, you!
Couldn't be.
Then who? A soul cake, please the people a soul cake. An apple, a pear, a plum, or a cherry. Any good thing to make us so merry. One for Peter, two for Paul, three for Britain, and three that's all. I bless the masters of the house and the wives of Mr. Sue, and all the little children round the table grow. Cattle in your stable, the dog at your front door. Whoa! And all the little in your gates, we wish you 10 times more.
Nurturing gratitude and how we understand and express interdependence is a part of how we live into our Unitarian Universalist faith. May what has been shared today help us more fully affirm our interconnection and live into love and justice. Immediately after this service, we gather in the fellowship hall and outside for conversation and community. Our discussion questions, which you may want to chat about, are: who is an ancestor that you remembered today? And what are you doing to become a good ancestor? And now, as we close our service today, we will sing hymn number 411, Part in Peace.
As you are able, and if you're following in the hymnal, it's the gray hymnal, number 411.
Please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again.
During the traveling music, we invite you to come forward and add a green leaf to the tree, with or without writing on it, symbolizing the ways you're working to become a better ancestor. And then after the worship service has ended, I invite anyone who would like to join me to help gather the ancestor leaves that people have placed on our table of remembrance and to take them out to the memorial garden with me. We'll leave them there to decompose and become part of the earth. And if you left a photo or a memento here, please come and take it after the service. And now, as you go out into the world this day and this week, may you go ever seeking to become a better ancestor. Go in peace, love, and justice, living love ever more fully and fiercely into this world. Amen. And blessed be.